put the knowledge of these facts into use. Sources. Material remains. Stone temples in South India and the brick monasteries in Eastern India. Mounds, single culture, major culture, multi-culture. Material remains recovered as a result of excavation and exploration are subjected to various kinds of scientific examination. The dates are fixed by following the method of radiocarbon dating. The history of climate and vegetation is known through an examination of plant residues and especially through pollen analysis. On this basis, it is suggested that agriculture was practiced in Rajasthan and Kashmir around 7000, 6000 BC. An examination of animal bones shows whether the animals were domesticated and also indicates the uses to which they were put. Coins. The study of coins is called numismatics. Ancient coins were made of metal, copper, silver, gold or lead. Coins made of burnt clay mostly belong to the Kushana period. Earliest coins contain few symbols, but the later contain mention the names of kings, gods or dates. The areas where they're found indicate the region of their circulation. This has enabled us to know that Indo-Greeks came to India from North Afghanistan and ruled here in the 2nd and 1st century BC. Coins in the post-Maurya period were made of lead, cotton, copper, bronze, silver and gold. Guptas issued the largest number of gold coins. This indicates that trade and commerce flourished in post-Maurya and a good part of Gupta times. But only a few coins belonging to post-Gupta times have been found indicates the decline of trade. Inscriptions. Study of inscriptions is called epigraphy, and the study of the old writings is called paleography. Inscriptions were carved on seals, stone pillars, rocks, copper plates, temple walls and bricks or images. But in the early centuries of the Christian era, copper plates began to be used for this purpose. Language. The earliest inscriptions were written in the Prakrit language in the 3rd century BC. Sanskrit was adopted as an epigraphic medium in the 2nd century AD and it became widespread in the 4th and 5th centuries. Inscriptions began to be composed in the regional languages in the 9th and 10th centuries. Most inscriptions bearing on the history of Maurya, post-Maurya and Gupta times have been published in a series of collections called Corpus Inscriptionum Indicum. Harappan inscription written in pictographic script which is not deciphered yet. Earliest inscriptions are found on the seals of Harappa belonging to about 2500 BC. Ashoka inscriptions. Ashokan inscriptions were engraved in the Brahmi script, written from left to right. Brahmi script prevailed in the country except for the northwestern part. Brahmi continued to be the main script till the end of Gupta times. But some were also inscribed in the Kharosthi script, written from right to left. Greek and Aramaic scripts were employed in Ashokan inscriptions in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Discovery. The oldest inscription deciphered so far were issued by Ashoka in 3rd century BC. In 14th century AD, 2 Ashokan pillars were found by Firoz Shah Tuflak, one in Meerut and another called Topra in Haryana. Ashokan inscriptions were first deciphered in 1837 by James Prinsep. Ashokan inscriptions belong to the category conveying royal orders and decisions regarding social, religious and administrative matters. Some important inscriptions of Ashokan times are Sohagaura. Copper plate inscription, famine and various measures like storage of food grains have been mentioned. Maski. It mentions Ashoka as Piyadasi or Divanam. Some inscriptions eulogize the attributes and achievements of kings and conquerors and never speak of the defeats and weaknesses. To this category belongs the Allahabad inscription of Samudragupta. Literary sources. Although the ancient Indians knew writing as early as 2500 BC, but our most ancient manuscripts are not older than 4th century AD and have been found in Central Asia. Most ancient books contain religious themes. The religious literature of the Hindus includes the Vedas, Ramayana and the Mahabharata, the Puranas etc. Vedas. The Rig Veda circa 1500-1000 BC mainly contain prayers while later Vedic texts mainly comprise not only prayers but also rituals, magic and mythological stories. However, Upanishads contain philosophical speculations. In order to understand the Vedas, it was necessary to learn the Vedangas. These include phonetics, shiksha, ritual, kalpa, grammar, vyakana, etymology, nirukta, metrics, chanda and astronomic jyotisha. Post-Vedic times. Big public sacrifices meant for princes and men of substance belonging to the 3 high varnas are laid down in the Srata Sutras. Similarly, domestic rituals connected with birth, naming, sacred thread investiture, marriage, funerals etc. are laid down in the Grihya Sutras. Salva Sutras, it prescribes various kinds of measurements for the construction of sacrificial altars. They mark the beginnings of the study of geometry and mathematics. Buddhism and Jainism. The earliest Buddhist texts were written in Pali language. The Jaina texts were written in Prakrit and were finally compiled in 6th century AD. Secular literature. Law books, Dharmasutras and Smritis which together are called Dharmashastras. The Dharmasutras were compiled in 500 to 200 BC and the principal Smritis were codified in 6th century BC. Arthashastra of Kautilya, the text is divided into 15 books. It provides rich material of ancient Indian polity and economy. Works of Kalidasa, they provide us with glimpses of the social and cultural life of northern and central India in the age of the Guptas. Sangam literature, earliest Tamil texts produced over a period of 3 to 4 centuries by poets. It comprises about 30,000 lines of poetry which are arranged in 8 anthologies called Vetatokai. The poems are collected in groups of hundreds such as Purananuru. Foreign accounts. Alexander's invasion finds no mention in Indian sources, and it is entirely on the basis of the Greek sources. Megasthenes the Indica, he came to the court of Chandragupta Maurya. Greek and Roman accounts of the 1st and 2nd centuries AD mention many Indian ports and enumerate items of trade between India and the Roman Empire. The Periplas of the Erythraean Sea and the Ptolemy's geography, both written in Greek, provide valuable data for the study of ancient geography and commerce. Pliny's Naturalis Historia, which belongs to the 1st century AD, was written in Latin, and tells about the trade between India and Italy. Chinese travelers. Fahian and Haiwan Sang, both of them were Buddhists and came to India to visit the Buddhist shrines and to study Buddhism. Fahian came in the beginning of the 5th century AD and the Haiwan Sang, 630 to 645 AD, came in the 2nd quarter of the 7th century AD. Fahian describes the social, religious and economic conditions of the India in the age of the Guptas. Haiwan Sang presents a similar account in the age of Harsha. In 670 AD, another Chinese traveler I Ching came to India to visit Nalanda. Haiwan Sang accounts tell so many things about the Harsha's administration. He was robbed of his belongings, that explains that in the empire of Harsha, law and order was not well maintained. Although, he reports that according to the laws of land, severe punishments were inflicted for crime. Robbery was considered to be a second treason for which the right hand of the robber was amputated. But later, under the influence of Buddhism, the severity of punishment was mitigated, and criminals were imprisoned for life. His account shows that Pataliputra was in state of decline, so was Vaishali. He took notice of untouchables. They lived outside the villages. They used to announce their entry into the town by shouting loudly so that people might keep away from them. Question 1. Q. Who of the following had first deciphered the edicts of Emperor Ashoka? 2016. A. Georg Buller B. James Princeps C. Max Muller D. William Jones. Answer B. Question 2. Q. Which one of the following scripts of ancient India was written from right to left? 1997. A. Brahmi. B. Nandagari C. Sharada D. Krosh D. Answer D. Question 3. Q. Which one of the following ancient Indian records is the earliest royal order to preserve food grains to be utilized during the crises in the country? 1998. A. Sohagara copper plate B. Raminde Pillar Edict of Asoka C. Prayaga Prasasti. D. Merali Pillar inscription of Chandra. Answer A. Question 4. Q. The following persons came to India at one time or another. 1999. 1. F. A. Heen. 2. I Ching. 3. Megasthenes. 4. Hyan Sang. The correct chronological sequence of their visits is at 3, 1, 2, 4B, 3, 1, 4, 2C, 1, 3, 2, 4D, 1, 3, 4, 2. Answer B. Question 5. Q. Consider the following statements. 2004. 1. The Chinese pilgrim F. A. Heen attended the Fourth Great Buddhist Council held by Kanishka II. The Chinese pilgrim Hyan Sang met Harsha and found him to be antagonistic to Buddhism. Which of the statements given above is correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. D. Neither 1 nor 2. Answer D. Question 6. Q. The Chinese traveler Yuan Kuang Hyan Sang, who visited India, recorded the general conditions and culture of India at that time. In this context, which of the following statements is correct? 2013. 1. The roads and river routes were completely immune from robbery. 2. As regards punishment for offences, ordeals by fire, water and poison were the instruments for determining the innocence or guilt of a person. 3. The tradesmen had to pay duties at ferries and barrier stations. Select the correct answer using the codes given below. A. 1 only. B. 2 and 3 only. C. 1 and 3 only. D. 1, 2 and 3. Answer B. Indus Valley Civilization. Indus Valley Civilization arose in the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent. It is also called Harappan civilization because this civilization was first discovered in 1921 at the modern site of Harappa situated in the province of West Punjab in Pakistan. The central zone of mature Harappan culture lay in Sindh and Punjab, mainly in the Indus Valley. It is from here it spread in other parts. In this way, the Harappan culture covered parts of Punjab, Haryana, Sindh, Baluchistan, Gujarat, Rajasthan and the fringes of western Uttar Pradesh. Town planning and structures. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro each had its own citadel or acropolis, which was possibly occupied by members of the ruling class. Below the citadel in each city lay a lower town containing brick houses which were inhabited by the common people. Harappan people followed the grid system. To it, roads cut across one another almost at right angles. The most important public place of Mohenjo-daro is Great Bath. In Mohenjo-daro the largest building is a granary. In citadel of Harappa, we find as many 6 granaries. Agriculture. Prevalence of agriculture is indicated by finds of grains. Representations on seals and terracotta sculpture indicate that the bull was known, and it has been extrapolated that oxen was used for ploughing. Terracotta models of the plough have been found at sites in Cholastan and at Banawali. Evidence of ploughed field of Kalibangan has been also found. Traces of canals have been found at the Harappan site of Shortugai in Afghanistan, but not in Punjab or Sindh. Indus Valley produced wheat, barley, rye, peas, sesamum and mustard. It has been found that people of Lothal used rice whose remains have been found. Indus people were the earliest people to produce cotton. The Harappan villages, mostly situated near the floodplains, produced sufficient food grains not only to feed themselves but also the town people. Domestication of animals. Oxen, buffaloes, goats, sheep and pigs were domesticated. The humped bulls were favoured by the Harappans. Dogs and cats were regarded as pets. Asses and camels were used to carry burden. The remains of the horse are reported from Surkotada, but the identity is doubtful. Elephants were well known to the Harappans, who were also acquainted with the rhinoceros. Technology and crafts. As the Harappan culture belongs to the Bronze Age, that's why they were well acquainted with the manufacture and use of bronze. They produced utensils as well as various tools and weapons such as axes, swords, knives and spears. Spindle whorls were used for spinning. Weavers wove cloth of wool and cotton. Harappans also practiced boat making. The goldsmiths made jewelry of silver, gold and precious stones. They were also experts in bead making. The potter's wheel was in full use and the Harappans produced their own characteristic pottery, which was made glossy and shining. Trade. They carried on considerable trade in stone, metal, shell etc. Within the Indus culture zone. They did not use metal money. Most probably they carried on all exchanges through barter. They practiced navigation on the coast of the Arabian Sea. Harappans had commercial links with one area of Rajasthan and also with Afghanistan and Iran. They also carried commerce with those in the land of Tigris and the Euphrates. The Mesopotamian records from about 2350 BC onwards refer to trade relations with Meluhha, which was the ancient name given to the Indus region. Political organization. As the Harappan culture is more or less uniform over a large area, a central authority may have contributed to this. In the Harappan culture, the citadel may have been the seat of sovereign power, the middle town may have been the area where the bureaucrats lived or the seat of government, and the great granary of Mohenjo-daro may have been the treasury. It appears that taxes were collected in grain. No temples have been found at any Harappan site. No religious structures of any kind have been excavated apart from the Great Bath, which may have been used for ablution. It would, therefore, be wrong to think that priests ruled in Harappa. Religious practices. In Harappa numerous terracotta figurines of women have been found. In one figurine, a plant is shown growing out of the embryo of a woman. The image probably represents the goddess of earth and was intimately connected with the origin and growth of plants. The male deity is represented on a seal. This god has 3 horned heads and is represented in the sitting posture of a yogi, with one leg placed above the other. This god is surrounded by an elephant, a tiger, a rhinoceros, and below his throne there is a buffalo, and at his feet 2 deer. The god so depicted is identified as Pashupati Mahadev, but the identification is doubtful because the bull is not represented here, and horned gods also figure in other ancient civilizations. Numerous symbols of the phallus and female sex organs made of stone have been found in Harappa and were possibly meant for worship. The people of the Indus region also worship trees. Weights and measures. The urban people of the Indus region also needed and used weights and measures for trade and other transactions. Numerous articles used as weights have been found. They show that in weighing, largely 16 or its multiples were used, for instance, 16, 64, 160, 320, and 640. The Harappans also knew the art of measurement. Sticks inscribed with measure marks have been found. Seals and sealings. The greatest artistic creations of the Harappan culture are seals. About 2,000 seals have been found, and of these a great majority carry short inscriptions with pictures of one-horned animal called unicorns, buffaloes, tigers, rhinoceroses, goats, elephants, antelopes, and crocodiles. Seals were made of steatite or faience and served as symbols of authority. They were hence used for stamping. Images. The Harappan artisans made beautiful images of metal. A woman dancer made of bronze is the best specimen. A few pieces of Harappan stone sculpture have been found. One steatite statue wears an ornamented robe passing over the left shoulder under the right arm like a shawl, and the short locks at the back of the head are held in place by a woven fillet. Question 1. Q. Which one of the following animals was not represented on the seals and terracotta art of the Harappan culture? 2001. A cow. B. Elephant. C. Rhinoceros. D. Tiger. Answer. A. Question 2. Q. Match list I with list 2 and select the correct answer using the codes given below the lists. 2002. List 1. Ancient site. List 2. Archaeological finding. A. Lothal 1. Cloud. B. Calibangan 2. Dockyard. C. Dolavira 3. Terracotta replica of a Ploudi Banawali 4. An inscription comprising 10 large-sized signs of the Harappan script. A. B. C. D. 1 2 3 4 B 2 1 4 3 C 1 2 4 3 D 2 1 3 4. Answer. B. Question 3. Q. Regarding the Indus Valley civilization, consider the following statements. 2011. 1. It was predominantly a secular civilization and a religious element, though present, did not dominate the scene. 2. During this period, cotton was used for manufacturing textiles in India. Which of the statements given above is correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. D. Neither 1 nor 2. Answer. C. Question 4. Q. Which of the following characterizes the people of Indus civilization? 2013. 1. They possessed great palaces and temples. 2. They worshipped both male and female deities. 3. They employed horse-drawn chariots in warfare. Select the correct statements using the codes given below. A. 1 and 2 only. B. 2 only. C. 1, 2 and 3. D. None of the statements given above is correct. Answer. B. Aryans and Vedas. Aryans and Rig Vedic Age. Identity. It is difficult to say that all the earliest Aryans belonged to one race, but their culture was more or less of the same type. They were distinguished by the common language. They spoke the Indo-European languages. The texts that help us to reconstruct the material and other aspects of Aryan culture comprise the Rig Veda, the Zend-Avesta, and Homer's Iliad and Odyssey. Features. Aryans were acquainted with rivers and forests. Their society was male-dominated. Although the Aryans used several animals, the horse played the most significant role in their life. They used to domesticate horses. The Rig Veda devotes 2 complete hymns in praise of the horse. The Indo-Europeans widely used horse-drawn chariots. The chariot race prescribed in the Vajpayee sacrifice of the later Vedic texts was a Greek practice. The pit swelling can also be associated with the Aryan culture. The use of birchwood seems to be an Aryan feature along with underground horses. Like the use of the horse, cremation developed as an Aryan trait. The fire cult is considered to be a special trait of both the Indo-Aryans and Indo-Iranians. The fire altar or Vedi is mentioned in the Rig Veda. Animal sacrifice may have prevailed among many tribal peoples, but the horse sacrifice was typical of the Indo-Europeans, particularly of the Vedic people. 2 hymns are devoted to the horse sacrifice in the 10th book of the Rig Veda. The later Vedic texts transform the sacrifice into Ashvamedha. The Sindhu, identical with the Indus, is the river par excellence of the Aryans, and it is repeatedly mentioned. Another river, Saraswati, is called Nadatana, or the best of the rivers in the Rig Veda. The whole region in which the Aryans first settled in Indian subcontinent is called the land of the 7 rivers. The Aryans migrated to India in several waves. The earliest wave is represented by the Rig Vedic people, who appeared in the subcontinent in about 1500 BC. Tribal conflicts. Aryans succeeded everywhere because they possessed chariots driven by horses and introduced them for the first time into West Asia and India. The Aryan soldiers were equipped with coats of mail and better arms. The Aryans were engaged in 2 types of conflicts. First, they fought with pre-Aryans, and secondly, they fought among themselves. To tradition, Aryans were divided into 5 tribes called Panchana. The Bharats and the Trastu were the ruling clans. The country Bharatvarsha was eventually named after the tribe Bharat, which appears first in the Rig Veda. Tribal polity. The administrative machinery of the Aryans in the Rig Vedic period worked with the tribal chief in the center. He was called Rajan. There are traces of election of the king by the tribal assembly called the Samiti. Several tribal or the clan-based assemblies such as Sabha, Samiti, Vidatha, Gana are mentioned in the Rig Veda. Women also attended the Sabha and Vidatha in Rig Vedic times. In the day-to-day administration, the king was assisted by a few functionaries. Purahita 2 important priests were Vasishtha and Vishvamitra. Vishvamitra composed the Gayatri mantra to widen the Aryan world. Senana soldiers. There was no officer concerned with the collection of taxes. Chiefs received voluntary offerings from the people called Bali. There was no civil system or territorial administration. Tribe and family. Kingship was the basis of social structure, and a man was identified by the clan to which he belonged. People gave their primary loyalty to the tribe, which was called Jana. It was the patriarchal family headed by the father. In the Rig Veda, no desire is expressed for the daughters, though the desire for children and cattle is a recurrent theme in the hymns. The institution of marriage was established, although symbols of primitive practices survived. There is mention of practice of levirate and widow remarriage in the Rig Veda. There are no examples of child marriage, and the marriageable age in the Rig Veda seems to have been 16 to 17. Social divisions. Varna was the